Well, Mr. Jones, interesting. Uh, First, you come off and you sound like you are agreeing with their their points by saying, "I said that stuff first. I already said all that." Was that just ego? I mean, it seems like it sounded at first like you were agreeing with them. And then I've seen the Zeitgeist films and such, and the Addendum, whatever. It's not that they got things wrong. It's that people were taking it as, well, people were taking it like the guy's trying to get some kind of a organization or a church going or some crap because people are so weird about that. All he was doing was asking questions. Here we know this, 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 and this. What do you think of that? It's basically what it is. And then you come up with every time the government makes a exercise, does an exercise, they usually follow through and actually they're either hiding something or they're actually doing that exercise in reality and calling it an exercise. I don't know what you're actually saying because it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Uh, I wouldn't put it past the government though to do things like that at all, especially the Bush government when it was around. Yeah, that guy with Cheney in command, very scary stuff. And then you come up with this thing about how you didn't support them because they were picking on the Christians. I don't think so. I think what they were doing is, edifying us, you know, disseminating information so that we know, like I already did, about the Messiah myth, for instance. The way the movie explained that was very well done, and very interesting, and basically true. It's an ancient myth. It was around way before the Christians. It has nothing to do with the Christ thing. And it's true that your Christ has not been mentioned once in any real archaeological or historical record. Okay? There's historians nowadays, or, they're usually Christians, that talk about how Nero used this new cult called Christianity to take the people's mind off of him. Well, they weren't calling themselves Christians yet. This is way before Constantine, okay? And that's just, you know, you got to look at real history, the real, like Pliny the Younger, Pliny the Elder, some of the real writers, not Josephus the liar. The only so-called scribe that mentions a Jesus or a Christ in any shape or form. So that's all they were doing. Is basically those are just it's just they were movies that were just basically asking the questions. Why is this? Why can't we answer these questions? And the thing about the Messiah myth, it's a myth anyway. I mean, God knowing it's just a big hoopty doopty that Stone Age people made up because they didn't know how to explain science and the way the world works. Everything to them was magic if they couldn't understand it. So naturally, it had to be a god. I mean, it was easy for them that way. But then it's even nowadays, there's people that are out there that are just they're so lazy they can't seem to. They don't want to read science. And they don't want to know the real truth. Real evolution and the reality behind geology and everything else and astronomy and all that. No, not astrology. Astronomy. There's a difference there, Mr. Jones. And you can't learn that stuff in the madrasa. You can't learn evolution or biology in a Christian school. They're not allowed to teach it. And without learning evolution, you're not going to be able to, you won't be able to learn biology. Without biology, you're not going to be able to, you couldn't be a doctor, any kind of a real physical scientist. So, that's one of the things that the movie is doing is just trying to wake people up and say, look at this. This has been around for 1,000 years. It's just Jesus is just the most contemporary mythological character within the whole thing, within the whole story. So to me, it could have been the extraterrestrials visited, and naturally people so stone age, so superstitious, they're going to say, "Oh, there must be gods because we don't understand anything they do." I mean, the Assyrian, I think it was Assyrians, the ones that lived in Mesopotamia and northern Mesopotamia. They wrote about some people called the Anunnaki, and translated that means people from the stars. Yeah, they say it word for word. It's not beating around the bush. They didn't think they were gods. They knew they were people that came from the stars. They were told. They even talked about how they came up and down on flying machines, and they went around the world on their flying machines. They didn't say flying carpet or any other metaphor. It was all written right there in the I believe it's cuneiform, and it just I find that interesting that these people were so scientifically oriented, as rationally oriented, reasonably oriented, reality oriented, that they didn't assume they were gods. They assumed correctly that they must be creatures from some other place because they're not from this earth. We don't have that here. And they knew that. They somehow knew that, assumed that. So maybe they didn't grow up being indoctrinated all their lives like nowadays. Like everybody wants to drag their kids into their church so that their preacher can threaten their kids worse than they can. I mean, it's pretty bad being threatened with burning in hell forever if you don't follow what you're told. That's pretty traumatic for a little kid. Don't you think? Yeah, that's why I call it abuse when you take a kid to church. Yeah. Anyway, that's what Zeitgeist is about, just asking the questions. If you can't pay attention and you don't want to pay attention, you want to make a big deal out of it, go ahead. Meanwhile, you get owned too much, Alex Jones. I think there's something going on in your head that you want to be rational, you want to be free thinking, you want to be smart, and you are intelligent. But I think you're a little too, I don't know. I think you're a believer. Yeah, I think you're a Christian. I don't know why. I just think you are, and that's just weird for an intelligent person to still follow like superheroes and stuff. So we'll see you later. That's my answer anyway. See ya. Oh, I'm handicapped. That's why I do videos. I can't type very well anymore. My left hand don't work very well. I don't have any fingers and no legs. So see you later. Just an earthling. This is Pt1.